of all, the bottom line here is that we need to get more aid in, as has been said. We are looking at possibly being on the brink of famine in this region. This is something that's not only terrific, but it will spread. And with that comes disease and everything else that you can imagine. Bottom line, we need more trucks in, we need more aid in, we need to be able to have more access to be able to distribute the aid. And you know, hopefully maybe a longer time to do that, not just 4 days. We look forward to making sure that we can work with all of our partners on the ground and in the area to make sure that this can happen. And I want to thank the Egyptians for being so helpful in all of this.
Well, let's get more on this now with Palestinian affairs analyst Osama Nazzal, who joins us from Jenin in the occupied West Bank. Really good to have you with us, Osama. Let's start with the humanitarian situation in Gaza. We heard there from the World Food Programme that Gaza is on the brink of famine. And earlier we heard from our correspondent in Gaza saying that the race is on right now to get more aid into the enclave ahead of the end of this 4-day truce. What's your expectation? Do you believe that this truce will be extended so that more aid can enter the territory?
First of all, we have hope that this truce could extend, because we know the suffering of the resumption of war on the Palestinian citizens in the Gaza Strip and the humanitarian repercussions of that, as we see that Gaza today is living a real catastrophe. As the World Food Programme officer said, it is on the brink of famine, and this is true as we hear from many citizens who take schools and other facilities as shelter, talking about the lack of food and also the lack of blankets, the lack of clothes. So we are talking about basic human needs that are missing, and the people of Gaza can't manage. In addition to the more serious problem, which is the lack of fuel, as the mayor of Gaza City municipality announced yesterday and today that no drop of fuel accessed into Gaza City, and this endangers the water system, as the municipality would no longer be able to pump water into the people, and also this could cause a disaster to Gaza because of the sewage system, as the sewage water could float and so cause a big environmental problem for almost all of Gaza and the coast of Gaza. So it is a disaster. Now, concerning the truce, we heard some statements from the officials involved, whether the Qatari Foreign Ministry, Egyptians, United States, Israelis. They all talked about the possibility of extending the truce on the basis that 10 Israeli captives are released per day. Some people talked about 1 day or 2 days. We hope that this would be more. But at the same time, there were some, threats by the Israeli Prime Minister and the Israeli Minister of Energy, saying that the war would resume and they are going to hit Gaza even harder than the days we all witnessed.
Osama, can I ask you about the situation in the occupied West Bank where you are? Because we know that despite this 4-day truce between Hamas and Israel, it hasn't included the situation in the occupied West Bank. In fact, Israeli raids have continued across the territory, including where you are specifically in Jenin in the north of the West Bank. What is the situation there? What has it been like for the last few days in terms of the ongoing Israeli raids?
Hard times, really, and suffering mainly of the people of Jenin refugee camp is to some extent compared to the suffering of the Palestinian people in Gaza, and the people in the streets here call Jenin small Gaza, like comparing the suffering of the people in Jenin to the people of Gaza, because the Israeli occupation forces, as you watched, raided Jenin refugee camp just yesterday, and they destroyed all the roads and most of the infrastructure of the refugee camp. and at the same time, they killed 6 people and injured dozens and detained dozens. Last night, the Israeli occupation forces continued their raids into other towns in the district of Jenin, a small village called Jaba, and they destroyed also the roads and the streets of this village and detained many people. So we are talking about ongoing Israeli aggression against the Palestinians in the occupied West Bank as a matter of vengeance, as the Israeli occupation forces are holding much grudge against the Palestinians, really declaring an all-out war on them. And one of the Israeli soldiers wrote in a Palestinian car in Jenin, 7 October, we are taking revenge against you. So this is the mindset, and this is the mentality that the Israeli occupation soldiers have when they storm into the Palestinian towns and the Palestinian cities. In addition to the restrictions on the freedom of movement of the Palestinian citizens here, as people can't move from one place to another because of the Israeli military checkpoints, because of the Israeli increasing settlers' violence that is supported by the Israeli Minister of Home Security Benny Gvir and Minister of Finance Smotrich. So we are talking about difficult conditions that the Palestinians in the West Bank are going through, but they persist and their eyes are focused on the suffering of their brothers and sisters in the Gaza Strip, despite all the conditions that they have here in the West Bank.
Okay, Osama Nazzal in Jenin in the occupied West Bank. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.